In the spring of 2024, researchers at Tianjin University published a thermal efficiency figure for an ammonia-fueled engine that stopped the engineering community cold, 44.7%. Let me tell you what that means in plain English. The best gasoline engine Toyota ever built tops out at 41% under ideal conditions. This engine beat it by nearly 4 points. On a fuel every major automotive research body had formally classified as non-viable for combustion. You heard that right? A fuel the industry rejected is now outperforming the best gasoline technology on Earth. And that is just the beginning. Because the efficiency number is not the real story. The fuel itself is... Hit a quick like and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this result changes the energy calculus for every sector that runs on combustion. For decades, the internal combustion engine industry operated under a ceiling that felt less like an engineering limitation and more like a law of nature. Thermal efficiency, the percentage of fuel energy that actually becomes motion, had been climbing since the first gasoline engines turned over in the 1880s. But by the early 2000s, that climb had slowed to a crawl. By 2015, the sharpest engineering teams in the world had converged on roughly the same conclusion. Somewhere between 40 and 42% was the practical ceiling, and getting past it would require either a fundamental rethinking of combustion chemistry or a fuel nobody had seriously considered. Here's the detail that puts everything into perspective. When you burn gasoline in an engine, roughly 60 to 70% of the energy in that fuel never reaches your wheels. It bleeds out through the exhaust pipe as heat. It radiates through the engine block into the surrounding air. It disappears into friction between moving parts, running at temperatures high enough to melt aluminum without active cooling. The engine in a standard passenger car is, at its core, a very expensive heat generator that occasionally moves a vehicle as a secondary function. Most people who drive every day have never thought about this. The wall has a formal name in engineering circles, and it comes from the second law of thermodynamics. No heat engine can convert all of its input energy into work, because some of that energy must flow from hot to cold to make the cycle run at all. Picture a furnace the size of a shoebox, running at over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit at its peak, trying to push a piston while losing heat through every surface it touches. That is your engine. The gap between peak combustion temperature and exhaust temperature determines how much work you can extract. Widen it, and efficiency climbs. Every materials science and combustion chemistry limit in the book constrains how wide that gap can realistically get. Toyota got closer than anyone. Their dynamic force engine, introduced in 2018, achieved 41% brake thermal efficiency, a figure that required variable compression ratios, laser-ignited combustion, and a decade of computational fluid dynamics work. Mazda's Skyactiv X followed a different path, using compression ignition of gasoline. Independent assessments from the Society of Automotive Engineers confirmed that further gains from gasoline chemistry alone would require combustion pressures that current engine materials could not survive. Most people who follow this space know the 41% figure. What most of them never hear is what came next. As extraordinary as that summit was, the more interesting question was never whether gasoline could go further. It was whether anyone had been staring at the wrong fuel for 30 years. The announcement came in 2021. A research team at Tianjin University published preliminary results for an internal combustion engine running on ammonia, not as a fuel additive, not as a hydrogen carrier burned in a fuel cell, but as the primary combustion fuel in a modified reciprocating engine. The engineering establishment's response was swift, largely dismissive, and almost entirely focused on a single objection. Ammonia burns too slowly. They were not wrong about the chemistry. Ammonia's flame speed in open air measures approximately 0.07 meters per second. Gasoline's flame speed is roughly 0.37 meters per second, more than 5 times faster. In a high-speed internal combustion engine, where each combustion event lasts a few milliseconds, and the piston is already moving away from top dead center before the flame front fully develops, that gap is not a minor inconvenience. It is, by standard engineering logic, a fundamental disqualifier. The Society of Automotive Engineers had formally assessed ammonia as a combustion fuel candidate in the early 2000s and concluded that its low flame speed made high-efficiency combustion impossible without radical engine redesign that would destroy any cost advantage the fuel might offer. Ammonia had other problems on the resume. Its energy density by weight runs approximately 9,000 British thermal units per pound compared to gasoline at roughly 20,000 British thermal units per pound. It is corrosive to copper alloys and certain seals commonly used in fuel systems. Its narrow flammability range between 15 and 28% concentration in air leaves almost no margin for mixture error. On paper, it read like a list of reasons written specifically to disqualify a fuel from serious consideration. They said the same thing about diesel. Rudolf Diesel proposed slow compression ignition combustion in 1893 and was told by the engineering consensus of the day that slow combustion was an inherently inefficient process that could never compete with the fast-burning fuels of the era. We all know how that ended. The Tianjin team was not naive about the objections. Their program, which expanded significantly between 2021 and 2023 with backing from China's Ministry of Science and Technology, was built on a specific hypothesis that the flame speed problem was not a property of ammonia that had to be accepted, but a combustion parameter that could be engineered around. What they proposed to do about it was the part the mainstream coverage missed almost entirely. Here is where the consensus broke. The solution was not a new engine. It was a new relationship between ammonia and a second molecule it already contained. Ammonia is not a mystery compound. Every chemistry student knows it as NH3, one nitrogen atom bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms. And hydrogen, unlike ammonia, burns extremely fast. Its flame speed in air runs approximately 3 meters per second, more than 40 times faster than ammonia alone. The question the Tianjin team asked was deceptively simple. What if you did not have to choose between them? Picture a campfire built from damp wood. The wood will burn eventually, but it catches slowly, smolders inconsistently, and produces a flame front that never quite reaches the temperature the fire needs to sustain itself cleanly. Now picture adding a handful of dry kindling directly to the center of that pile before you light it. The kindling ignites fast, builds heat rapidly, and pulls the damp wood into a sustained, stable combustion event that the wood could never have achieved alone. You have not replaced the damp wood. You have amplified it with a fraction of a faster fuel. That is the operating principle of ammonia-hydrogen co-combustion. And the engine architecture takes it one step further, because the hydrogen does not come from a separate tank. Inside the engine system, a small portion of the ammonia fuel flow is diverted before it reaches the combustion chamber. It passes over a ruthenium-based cracking catalyst operating at approximately 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, the catalyst breaks the NH3 molecules apart.